Let's ask retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. He served as Director for European Affairs at the White House National Security Council. First, Lieutenant Colonel, thank you for joining us. What about these switchblade kamikaze drones? Boy, that name makes them sound very lethal, and I'm sure they are. And other arms the president is sending to Ukraine today. Do you think they give Ukraine enough firepower to make up for the lack of a no-fly zone?
No, they don't. But these are a very useful capability to have. These are, as indicated, kamikaze or suicide drones that could travel many, many miles behind enemy lines and strike high payoff targets. So this could be command and control sites. This could be, they could go after armored vehicles and destroy armored vehicles. They go after refueling trucks that are necessary to keep the Russian army moving. There's all sorts of different targets that these can go to. And there are two different variants, kind of a lighter variant and a heavier variant that can destroy just about anything that the Russians have on the ground. So it's a powerful capability, but it does not get anywhere near this capability of establishing a no-fly zone. Some of the other announcements are more interesting. The fact that the U.S. is going to help facilitate the transfer of legacy air defense systems. These are very, very capable S-300 systems and variants that have been knocking out Russian planes, Russian cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles regularly. And having those come through, that'll be important. And then the next thing that is still ambiguous, but there was an announcement about drones. The question is whether these are, in fact, tactical drones like these switchblades, or if there is something else in the mix. These deeper strike kind of extended fires that could go even deeper behind enemy lines, target airfields, target helicopter bases, and these ballistic missile bases, these Iskanders that have been raining fire down on Ukrainian cities. If those are part of the mix, then it actually gets Ukraine much, much closer to establishing a no-fly zone for Russia.
Yeah. You talked about drones and some of these other armaments. Who would have thought that 3 weeks to the day, Lieutenant Colonel, into this fight, the Ukrainians are still holding off the Russian advance. President Zelenskyy, I want to switch subjects just a little bit here. He's winning at least one important fight, and that's the battle for the airwaves. At this point, I mean, he's close to worldwide hero status. He's constantly releasing videos, posting videos, speaking to the parliaments in the UK and Canada and today in the United States. Why haven't the Russians been able to shut him off from the world and take out his communications infrastructure? It seems to me a very fundamental tactic.
You know, that's an interesting question. That's the same question that we ask about why is Ukraine's Air Force flying? Why does Ukraine have an air defense capability? There have been so many different areas where the Russian armed forces have really kind of fallen well short, stumbled in a major way. I think in terms of telecommunications, that's another sphere, but there are plenty of questions that we don't have an answer to as to why Russia is performing so poorly. But as long as these assets are in place, Ukraine is in this fight, and it's in this fight to at least fight to a standstill, if not fight to a victory. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, what another amazing fact today, the Pentagon says that Russia has committed, get this, 75% of its entire military in all of Russia to the fight in Ukraine, and they're still stuck outside of Kyiv and other major cities. What does that tell you about the way this war is going for Russia?
Well, I think and I think a lot of military analysts, U.S. military analysts, are actually still behind the power curve. They're still thinking that Ukraine can fall. It's possible the Ukrainians might actually somehow. There are reversals, and they might lose some cities. But Russia simply does not have the combat power to take all of Ukraine's cities. It's a country of 45 million people and many cities with over 1 million in population. It is not possible for Russia to achieve its military aims. It could pound cities, and that's why we need to help provide Ukraine with capabilities to establish their own no-fly zone. But Russia cannot win this fight now. It could only inflict harm and damage.
Okay, before I let you go, I would like to ask you, put you on the spot, how much longer does this go on, this full-scale invasion with these indiscriminate missile attacks?
It could be weeks and months. If the U.S. doesn't provide these long-range fires for Ukraine, the Russians maintain the advantage with regards to air power, with regards to a massive quantity of artillery and long-range fires. They could continue to just hold their positions and fire away. But if with our assistance, this could turn really quickly, and Ukraine could neutralize Russia's military.
Okay. All right. A brilliant perspective, a very interesting perspective. Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, also former Director for European Affairs at the White House National Security Council. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.